To people watching us live and in our recordings for all the events this week. People watching. Great. Okay. Let's get going. Welcome everybody on Zoom and watching us on YouTube live stream. My name is Clive Grenier and I'm the head of program for service design here at the Royal College of Art, and this is our 2021 work in progress show. This is the 5th event of a series of events we're showing to highlight the different projects of 75 students working in teams, delivering 20 projects across 5 thematic studios that we set up in early October last year at the beginning of these projects, and which we've produced in 6 bite-sized chunks to allow you to see the work and also be inspired by some fabulous speakers, which I'll talk about in a moment. The students you see in these few days of events look like this. These are them. This was my first day when I took over the course, which in its 9th year in September 2019. And since then, of course, the world has changed a little bit, and we've had to move to a new way of communicating with you. And here we are on Zoom. But in July, we managed to graduate 70 students. We've managed to run this project in this last term, and here we are now running these WiP show events. And I can only congratulate the resilience and the energy of the students who've been able to keep going and create great things. When I joined the course, I invited the staff and students to talk to me about what they felt was the ethos and what was important about service design in this course, which is a pioneering, historic course. Graduates go on to work from technology and business and government and through all aspects of society, and they take with them these values, which we created these icons for. You can't be a service designer unless you're curious about what the world is really doing, what's really happening, and courageous to tell people what's really going on, to feed that back, and then to collaborate together to make things better, to make change happen. And that means that the students are very dynamic, they're responsive to the world, they create innovation. The result of what they do is innovative, and they transform. They don't leave stuff alone. We're very people-centric in the broadest sense, human-centered, community-centered, society-centered, but conscious of the systems that we live in, including the biggest system of all, the planet that we are part of. And every single project that you see has a sense of real purpose. So over these few days, we are showcasing 20 projects in these 6 areas: social resilience and impact, sustainability, the future of work using speculative design to look at how we might want to work in the future, people-powered health, looking at a proactive genomics, the impact of proactivity on our healthcare, citizen-centered, how we can put the citizen at the heart of what we do, and today, new interactions. All these projects are bound together by a sense of regeneration, what happens next post-pandemic, and in interactions as we move beyond touchscreens, the check-in terminal at an international airport is something we really don't want to touch anymore in a time of pandemic. So how do we look at gesture and voice and new ways of interacting with the world around us and getting access to services? And that's what we're talking about today. But really these events and this show is a chance to talk directly to students. We want you to interact with them. Difficult to do when we can't invite you to a gallery in Kensington or Battersea in our campus. So for this generation regeneration theme of shows, we on Monday started our events. Here we are today on our last day, and we have one more at 1 o'clock on sustainable. But at the end of each of these events, we invite you to not only go to our website, this is our own website, which acts as an archive of the projects of the last 16 months and will continue to be an archive, but it shows these projects. You can explore them in more detail. And then you can actually click and make an appointment. But during the course of this event, we will post this URL, which is Speak to the Designers. And you will be able to talk directly to the teams over Zoom. We'll give you a Zoom link to each of the projects so that you can go in and learn more and listen to how they've created their projects. You'll be getting some very short presentations, but this is your invitation to go further, to go in and actually interact as if we were in that gallery, as if we had that chance to speak directly to the students. So I do encourage you, and I will encourage you at the end of this event to go and take part in that and try and spend at least some time or make an appointment to speak at another time. At any time of night and day, students will be there. You can go to your history on your browser, see that link and go and talk to them. So as I said, here we are today looking at these 5 projects around new interfaces, new opportunities, new generation, next generation interfaces, and you will be getting a pitch from each of these projects after we've spoken to our 3 fantastic speakers. I'm absolutely delighted to have all of them come and join us. John Stein, an old friend of mine, who's been working in the area of voice for the last few years, an ex-colleague of mine from Cisco, I have to admit. But I'm delighted the students invited you, John, to come and join us in the middle of your night, for goodness sake. Thank you very much, or at least very early. I really appreciate you talking to us about this very exciting area. Clara, thank you so much from Special Projects, who talked to our students, it only seems a few weeks ago, and talked about the magic of the work you do. I'm really excited to see the work of Special Projects shared here in this event. And Elba, from Tech Will Save Us. Well, what finer name for an organization could there be? And integrating technology in these new interactions is, of course, what we're all about. So I'm so pleased you've been able to join us. Thank you very much. This is an event that has been run by the students. So my intro is done. I'm going to hand back over to the students, and I'm really looking forward to hearing your talks and then seeing the student pitches. And I'll be back at the end to invite you to talk directly to the students. Have a fantastic event. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Clive, for your introduction. So officially welcome everyone to the New Interactions seminar. And well, before 2020, we inhabited a hyper-technological world where touch-based interactions mediated a great part of our daily life. Then COVID-19 pandemic hit and fast-forwarded us into the low-touch economy. This required extreme changes in order to stay healthy and safe as individuals, but also as a society. How are these ongoing transformations shaping the way we interact physically and digitally? We invite you to reflect on the future of interfaces and interactions. Our panel of speakers will delve into the complex world of technology and user behavior to share with us their experiences and insightful perspectives on the future. The series of talks will be followed by 5 presentations of student projects developed in partnership with Model. These projects explore the potential of voice interfaces to tackle many current societal challenges associated with COVID-19 and its impact in our lives. There will be a Q&A session at the end, so please feel free to write your questions in the chat so we can read them to the speakers. And also after the Q&A, we will invite you to stay over for a few minutes and join the Zoom rooms of the student projects, where you will be able to discuss the project and meet the designers behind them. So without further preamble, I introduce you to John Stein. And yeah, you can start whenever you're ready, John.
Magdalena, thank you. And Clive, thank you for the kind introduction. And to all of you, those of you who obviously are of courage, of curiosity, collaborators, innovators, transformationers, congratulations. Congratulations on what you're doing and how you're changing, not the projects that you're doing, but the world. I represent and I lead a global nonprofit known as the Open Voice Network. We're dedicated to bringing standards and ethical use guidelines to this world of voice assistance. voice assistants, conversational agents, AI-enabled voice, a lot of different phrases you can use to describe it. But perhaps the best is the phrase, it's the zero interface. It's the initial interface. It's the interface you begin your life with. It's your first way of communicating, and indeed we see it will be a primary way that we all communicate as the years goes on. What is increasingly interesting, fascinating to me, and I think of great interest to you in these conversations, is that we are in the early days of the zero interface, of the ability of a human to communicate through a device to a device, for the device to speak back, for us to be speaking to software wherever that software can reside, and for that software to be, through a combination of technologies, to be bringing information, certainly right now in kind of a Q&A format, but not so long in front of us, into dialogues, into interaction, truly opening up a world. We don't know yet. We don't know yet what the zero interface will mean. My work in voice began in a coffee shop in Boston on the campus of MIT not so long ago, summer of 2016. And we were discussing around the table, and I thought we'd talk that day about the weather and perhaps the value of our American coffee. And instead, we asked the question, what will be the technology that will most shape, most reshape, most transform the relationship between a brand, an entity, an organization, and its constituents, its clients, its patients, its customers? You can go around the table, and in 2016, you might talk about blockchain, you might talk about IoT, you might talk about AR, VR. There's 1,000 technologies you could talk about. But that group that day said it's this voice thing. It is the ability to just say yes. It is the zero interface, that first vocalization we made, now being turned into action through technologies. It is the most convenient connection. Ultimately, the most convenient connection to everything. And indeed, many of you and most of you know this. This is, speaking with Clive and just thinking about the brilliance of this group: global, innovative, young, digitally aware. You know that it's more than Alexa. You know that it's more than smart speakers. And forgive me, I know this is a global audience. I'm using some US numbers here. The US at this moment is the largest market for voice assistants. Some of this may be relevant to you, but it's no small thing when we measure it. It's 60% of all US adults. There are, nearly 117, 120 million, maybe now 130 million active smartphone users. When we think about voice assistants, think smartphones first, think automobiles second. Envision the world of the autonomous vehicle. We're working with some individuals in this realm. You sit down in your autonomous vehicle, you tell it where to go, how fast, how safely. It recognizes you. You pay automatically by your voice. The smart speaker is the third device, third most used device for voice activation, and indeed it may already be irrelevant. And think of a world of 8.4 billion voice assistants worldwide in a few years. A year ago, Google Home had more than 500 million global active users of their voice assistant. They haven't shared the numbers this year. We can envision that it's a 550, 600, 650, almost 700 million. And keep in mind just the interaction, what it can do. Voice input can go generally, on average, 3 times faster than typing. It's going to be a marvelous interaction, not only for connecting with consumers and patients and clients, but in operations. Hands-free, as Clive suggested, and we're all very COVID aware, no more greasy touch screens. But just the fact of entering data, if you're a salesperson in the field, you're driving home from your appointment, you're entering the data as you drive, you're speaking your report. Easy to do in kind of, sort of, maybe we're all getting there. Major enterprise software companies working on this. And the next phase of voice assistance is all about independent brand assistance, where a brand such as the Bee, such as Nike, such as Bank of America, Starbucks, Walmart, Deutsche Telekom, and others, speaking with their own voice, becoming truly a humanized brand, male, female, cheeky, smart, sassy, whatever that brand persona and ethos is, speaking in a way that is assuring, that is confident, that expresses the brand promise, not only in what is said, but how things are said. This, as we look forward, is a conversation not just with a device, but think of it as a conversation with connections, a world of more than 40 billion connections, speaking to every website, and every website speaking back to you, speaking to every smart assistant, and those assistants speaking back to you. A world of speaking to whatever is connected, and whatever is connected speaking back, giving you information, giving you advice, giving you insight. As you think about voice, the zero interface that we right now, again, are just beginning to explore, ask yourself where in that decision path, and your decision journey maps are far more complex, far better than this simple one. Understand what it can do in every point of that decision journey. Understand that when it is embedded in the home, in the life, in your phone, in your watch, in your hearables that are part of you at all times, you're just a breath away from saying yes. The zero interface. And as we look ahead, keep this in mind. Voice is artificial intelligence in action. And we are in a world and coming into a world where artificial intelligence will be ubiquitous. It will be contextual. That is, it will listen to us and it will remember us. Much as a friend remembers parts of our conversation, it will remember those conversations, and it increasingly will be personal. We're in a world where every AI will be connected to billions of other AIs. It will be connections, will be artificial intelligence connections. And every device, every site, every place, every person will be AI enabled. And every AI will be conversational. It's the zero interface. We're just learning about it. We're just beginning to understand where this will go. You, within the Royal College of Art, in this tremendous program, this tremendous course, you have the opportunity to shape the future. With that, I'll pass it on to Alba.
Thank you, John. Yeah, should I go then?
Yes, please, Alba, whenever you're ready.
Thanks, John. That was great. So just let me put this in action and go for the screen. Can you see it? No, wait, 1 second.
Now.
Yes, perfect.
No,
well,
no, we're not seeing the presentation.
You are seeing the other one.
Yes.
Wait, 1 second. Stop share.
Now, yes.
Okay, cool. Now, yeah?
Yes.
Yes. Perfect. Well, so thanks, Clive, for the introduction, and I'm so happy to be here today. So today I'm going to talk about the power of senses and narratives, high-touch experiences in the low-touch economy. So for the last years, I've been creating new experiences that give kids a safe space to grow their creative confidence and learn about the world around them. First, for about 4 years at Lego Creative Play Lab, playing with bricks and making up the stories, among other things. And now at Tech Will Save Us, playing with conductive DAW and electronics. So yeah, I have been mainly focusing my attention into what kids and families do at home. It's interesting to look at kids and families because how they are behaving and what they are doing now directly impacts the future. The poor kids are kind of our rat labs in a way, because by making things for them in the present, we are slowly shaping the minds of the future, which, I mean, is kind of scary when you think about it. For kids at home, the low-touch economy has meant a lot of time consuming and interacting with the digital formats. Screens have become their windows into the world. And this has meant that some online platforms have quickly developed and implemented new features that cater to the always at home, everything relies on the screen type of situation. So for example, Roblox was originally a platform where kids make their own games for others to play. But chatting and hanging out there became like a big part of what kids were doing in the game. So last year, Roblox launched Party Place, which is a venue for virtual birthday parties and other meetups. The same is happening with entertainment. Roblox and Fortnite are hosting concerts like Lil Nas X and Travis Scott. And in the case of Fortnite, they are also hosting movie screenings. And it's not that it's better than watching it in these big screens or even at home in your own big TV. The cool part of it is watching it together with your friends. All these new ways of interacting with virtual realities are taking us closer to the idea of the metaverse, this virtual space that's shared, that is always live and persistent, with both planned and spontaneous events always happening. What this means is that new ways of understanding economy, culture, entertainment, politics, identity, and society will start to form in this virtual reality and slowly work across different platforms and the real world. But as exciting as the idea of the metaverse is, which is pretty cool, the Zoom fatigue is real. And so it is to rely on a screen for everything, from learning and connecting to partying and being entertained. As designers, we know that the most powerful experiences are those that are able to engage us in different ways. And obviously screens have their limitations in how they can do it. So what's up with the rest of the senses? We know that the more senses are engaged and the more interactive, the more successful experiences are in living and in print. And that's because you experience life through seeing, hearing, acting, discussing, like touching and moving, and basically engaging all your senses, not just one or two. So we are applying this thinking to our learning experiences at Tech Will Save Us. And for those of you who don't know, Tech Will Save Us is a company that combines like playing with making and coding. We do this mostly through kits that engage kids in different sensorial ways. And we have conductive DAW that kids can use to make circuits or dinosaurs or whatever you want, and fun PCBs that kids can assemble into things like scenes or interactive games. We also take a lot of care in designing the loops between the digital instructions and learning materials, and then the physical world, that is where they experiment and they apply what they have been learning. But the other important thing, very important, is to wrap the experience in narratives. When you combine tactility and storytelling, you help kids become immersed into the experience. It helps them understand and apply what they learn in a way that it's relatable to them. For example, we frame a lesson some vibration bags. One of the activities is to build a racetrack out of materials you have around the house. And then the racetrack will encourage the kid to find ways to make Antonio, which by the way is the bag, to go as fast and straight as possible to be the first one to get to the finish line. Adding narratives, of course, is not new for kids. It has happened for ages. But using narratives is a powerful tool to make us try and learn new things within a safe creative space. And of course, this is not just being applied to education. The same is happening to entertainment. 2020 was meant to be the year of the Tokyo Olympics and also the 35th anniversary of Super Mario. So Nintendo took the narrative of the forever known Mario Kart to try a new experience where you create your own physical racetrack at home. Mario's Kart has a camera that creates an AR experience that you can control from the Nintendo Switch. This is pretty good. And we use it a lot when I was at Lego as well. These are the recently released Lego Super Mario sets. And so how it works is that kids create their own levels with the Lego bricks, but all the tech is in Mario's body. So the way that the kids progress through the levels is by hearing the noises that Mario makes and then seeing the animations on his face or in the tiny screen in the chest. And these things and lots more are happening in the kids' world. People are addressing the best they can the needs of kids right now, helping them with learning, letting them hang out with their friends, keep their minds and bodies active. But what about adults? Well, we're also craving experiences, new feelings, but we are still at home in the same box we have been for a year already. And we all have been trying new things like the pub quizzes or bread making or exercising again, or like Animal Crossing, escaping there. But to me, the most interesting thing I've seen is when people try to pretend that this box is actually something else. I started to hear of friends making up spa weekends at home or setting up a tent in the living room, melting marshmallows with a candle while listening to nature sounds. We know how a forest smells, and we know how it sounds when you are camping. And if we can activate all these senses together to let them experience something else, our imagination will start to fill the gaps. And if we mix these senses with narratives, then we can transport ourselves somewhere else. And then for a couple of hours, we can just suspend our disbelief and give ourselves a break, which, by the way, we kind of deserve. So we have been forced or given the chance to flex our imagination. But that's not always easy. Imagination is definitely a skill that gets rusty and if it isn't used, right? And as we get older, we tend to stop using it. So we need a bit more of help. And that's why, as designers, our task is to create these multisensorial narratives and guide the users through them. Guide them back to pretending through stories and playful experiences that transport them. Help them reactivate their imaginations. The types of stories and ways of engaging senses look very different than the ones for kids, of course. But they are still stories, and they still need to use like taste and the smell and touch and sound as well as vision. Some companies are starting to offer experiences that facilitate this pretend play for adults. This is Home Sweet Home, which was created by a Dutch hotel chain. They would send kids to local people to transform their apartments into nice hotels for a night. And this is how it looks, sold out. But you will book the experiences as if you were booking a hotel room. The company will send you local products, deliver 3-course meals to your house, stream live music and entertainment shows, and even have a front desk service available for their guests to help them with whatever they need. And also IKEA in the UAE has in August put together a set of boxes for the staycation, where you could choose to visit France or Turkey or Japan or the Maldives. And they have this free vacation in a box, PDFs, with recipes, songs, and cultural facts, as well as movies to help people feel immersed in the culture. And in the actual box, they put together a selection of objects that people could order to make it feel more like you are there. It kind of reminds me the props that you use in theater or the theater plays, or kids' pretend toys, right? And of course, there's also like more digital and narrative-led immersions. The entertainment company SMUDGE, you probably heard about, is putting what they call immersive theatrical thrillers made for the internet. In this experience, you need to gather clues with your team to solve a mystery and move through a story. What makes this different from just like online escape rooms is the mix of media. It's not just engagement through a screen, but you also get text messages and have to call someone to get clues. So it feels like another dimension of engagement is being added. This is a digital first experience. So how might we push that further and mix physical and sensorial interactions with the new opportunities that digital virtual platforms are offering? And before I end, I just want to point out that I mean, there are lots of people who have been living in semi-isolated life before COVID already, right? And people, I mean, it's people that for one reason or another can't really experience these other things. The situation is circumstantial for most of us, but it's important to remember that for them it isn't. And we're now in a place where we can empathize and feel what they have been feeling and create experience with and for them. It will be pretty good to use what we have been learning to help them experience things that otherwise they wouldn't be able to, make them happy. So we're moving towards a low-touch economy, there's no doubt about it, but it's clear that people in the safety of their homes are seeking high-touch experiences for learning, for entertainment, and ultimately for their mental health. We understand how to do it with kids by engaging as many senses as we can, like with seamless, like physical, digital loops and storytelling. But there is a lot to learn in how we can design these experiences for everyone else. There are a lot of good starting points and opportunities, but still a lot of work to be done. So yeah. Let's get doing. And well, that's it for today for me. And if you want to chat about anything I mentioned or anything else, just feel free to reach out. My contact is very easy, so just a hi. So yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you, Alba, for your very insightful presentation around narratives and high-touch experience, right, at home somehow, and not forgetting how senses are important for us as humans. Yeah. So our next speaker is Clara. So whenever you're ready.
Thank you. I think I'm ready. Yes. Do you guys see the presentation? Yes, good, perfect. So thank you very much, Clive. Thank you, Magdalena, for inviting me. Thank you, to all the students. And as Clive said, as John said, well done, and congratulations for getting this far. And your stamina is, I admire your stamina to go through all these in this period. My name is Clara Gaggero Westerway. I'm the co-founder and creative director of Special Projects. As Clive said, I had the pleasure of hosting a little talk for the service design course. So today I wanted to give you something new. I'm going to share two projects that you're familiar with, but then as a last project, I'm going to actually share a project that has never been shown before. Is our latest homegrown project. And when I read your brief for this talk, I was like, oh, okay. So you basically brought the brief for me to share this project. I have to say, the video is still work in progress, so it's still not fully there. But I really wanted to give your feedback, and I really wanted to share it with you today. We will release it in a few days, so please don't, I know this is live on YouTube, so it's pretty public, but please don't share it too much for now, but we would love to have your support later, I think next week, when we officially will share it online. First of all, just a couple of words on special projects. We are an invention and design studio. We're based in London, and we have three things at the core of what we do. The first thing is that our background are in product and industrial design, but also in electronics and computer vision. So you'll see all the work that we have done, or most of the works that we have done, is around is physical and digital, and is around technology and how to make technology human and our relationship with technology. So of course, interfaces and interactions are things we're very, very interested in. The human part was something we really believed in since the beginning, 10 years ago now. So all our projects are human-centered. We trained at the Helen Hamlin Center at the Royal College after graduating from the RCA. And then we founded the studio, Adrian and myself, really based on this belief that every project should involve users at the beginning. And we treat them as muses, as sort of a source of inspiration. The last but not least element that defines special project is magic. Let me see. So here you see one of our Christmas cards, I think a few years back. So Adrian is a magician. He is my husband and also the co-founder of Special Project. He's been a magician since the age of 11. So apart from really, really having a sort of source of entertainment and joy in the studio, we are really interested in exploring the connection in between magic and design and, service design, product design. We don't believe in making magic, making gimmicky things with magic, but we believe in using magic to fix deep in the user experience. So if you look at the user experience and you see a dip in the journey, then we usually use magic on that dip to make the interaction or the experience much more delightful. So the first example that I'm going to show you today is something that you students are familiar with, and is an invention that we created when we were thinking about multitasking on our phone. It's interesting because, when I think about our projects, I could definitely see a trend. I think in the first 3 years of our work, we were aimed, our work was really aimed at allowing people to access technology, making technology more accessible, more understandable. Then we had a period of about maybe 3 to 5 years in which we were trying to make technology more human, more pleasant. So the access was there already, but then we had to sort of polish the interaction. And this project really reflects that period. And then the next project that I'm going to show you is instead almost helping people to not abuse technology, not abuse of technology, so trying to find their space, trying to detach from technology. So it's almost like a whole journey. But on this project, we were very interested about the multitasking on the phone, and in particularly the moment in which you switch in between apps. So I would like to show you a video that hopefully explains the project well. And Magdalena, please tell me if the video doesn't play well. I see you in the in the preview.
We're really inspired by the way that people interact with objects, and there's so much potential in transferring some of our physical behaviors into the digital world. When we work with pen and paper, it's very easy to use our desk space to organize ourselves and move between tasks. The problem is, when you try and do this on a phone, switching between tasks can feel very unnatural and disrupt your flow. So we've invented a new way of digitally navigating through different apps on a phone, which is completely inspired by the physical world. You can literally pin an app to a physical space. So every time you bring the phone back to that exact space, the same app will be active. There's no limit to how many apps you could pin. It's a little like building a virtual desktop in the space around you. Let's imagine you're writing an email and you want to add an image. You just move to the place where your images are kept and drag it across. Or, if you want to copy some text over, you can literally drop it from one space to another. You can drag digital content using the physical space. Or imagine you're trying to fix an appointment with a friend. You can just switch between your calendar and your conversation until you find a date that works for both of you. We're really excited by the potential of using physical space to navigate the digital, and think that by being inspired by the ways humans behave, we can really enrich our digital interactions.
Thank you. So this project was really, looking at how we can learn from the physical world and use the same behavior, a very sort of familiar mental model to navigate a digital world. Now, the next project I'm going to share with you today is a project we did for Google last year. And they approached us asking how we can facilitate a healthier relationship with technology. As I said, this is almost one of the latest problems that we have with technology. So after helping people to access technology and after helping people to have a better relationship or a better interaction with technology, now unfortunately we find ourselves often being too dependent and too linked to technology. So when investigating this problem, we came across this phobia, nomophobia, and it's not like fully credited, like medical phobia, but you can read a lot about it, and it's the fear or anxiety caused by not having a working mobile phone or not having a device at a short distance. I think we've always all been there. Like now, if you leave your house without a phone, you almost feel, a bit stressed, a bit like worried. For some people, this is very extreme and can really cause big problems. So, we try to suggest ways to help with these, but of course these are all experiments, and we don't claim to have solved the problem by any means, but we wanted to share, in an open source manner, our ideas around this problem. There are a lot of companies working on this. There are sort of digital remedies and physical elements and replacements. So you have digital apps that make your phone less attractive, or even settings on the phone. You can make your phone black and white, so it feels much less attractive. You are less inclined in checking all your notifications. So hopefully that reduces the time you spend on the phone. There are physical barriers such as these pocket, this little bag where you can basically secure your phone in. Often they're used in concerts, but sometimes even in meetings. And then there are the sort of replacement phones, like the Punkt one, which are very beautiful design objects, but that often require maybe an investment of 300, 400 pounds to have a sort of down, simple phone. We wanted to create something that was very accessible instead, and that actually worked on the principle of fasting. We were very familiar with diets that are very popular right now that advocate intermittent fasting days or set of hours during which very little food or none at all is allowed. And we thought, why could we maybe use the same principle with technology? Can we make people have a digital fasting so that they sort of replenish themselves? And one of the solutions we proposed is called paper phone. And again, I'm going to show a little video to explain it.
A lot of people feel like they spend too much time on their phones and miss out on the things that are right in front of their eyes. But it's hard to use our phones less, because we've come to depend on them. So, as an experiment, we've created a simple way to help you have a digital detox. It's called paper phone. All you need to do is choose the things which are important to you and our app will print out your very own paper phone. A paper phone can do most of the things a smartphone can do, but it doesn't distract you as much. It replaces your phone for a day. It helps you do things in a more focused way. We hope this little experiment can give you a break from the digital world and help you focus on the things that matter the most.
Paperphone is on the Android App Store. You can download it and give it a go if you have an Android phone. It's actually, quite fun, particularly when you do a day out at the weekend. You can see here you can sort of select the things you want printed on your paper phone. So, for example, maps or the contacts or the calendar for the next day. And then it's literally, it literally just comes out of the printer, and you might have tickets, you have a QR code up there. You just fold it and make your little paper phone. You have the calendar, the contacts. We even did a little slot where you can put your credit card, so you can use it to do contactless payment if you want. So here you can see some of the feature. We also had like little, I think they're called paper apps, like little extra elements such as recipes or games, because people also use their phone for accessing these things, and we wanted to integrate it there. We found some space on the A4 to squeeze them in. But now I want to show you our last project. As I said, this is a worldwide preview. No one has never seen this before, and it's an interface that we designed for the post-COVID world. It's interesting because we were looking at designing something that could be implemented now. This is something very down to earth, is very realistic, is very nimble. It does not require any new technology, but to work with the current displays, kiosk displays that are out there. So we wanted to do something very thrifty, although, we're extremely fascinated by all these new technologies that Alba and John introduced. We wanted to look at the problem from a slightly different perspective and suggest, again, a sort of open source idea on how providers and retailers can improve the experience now, today, with the technology they have in store. So again, I'm going to show you a little video, and I hope you like it. Please let me know, even in the questions, your comment. I'd love to hear from you before we make this public.
COVID-19 has changed the way we interact with the world around us. Everyday routines, such as grocery shopping, have turned into risks of infection. Every hour, up to 30 customers might touch exactly the same button on a self-checkout till. This new interface moves the buttons around systematically. For each new customer, the buttons shift to a clean area that has not been touched by anyone else. The interface is designed to encourage minimal taps on the screen, concentrated in a customer-specific area. Up to 50 people can use the kiosk without touching the same spot as someone else. Once all areas of the screen have been touched, the screen notifies the supermarket staff that it needs to be cleaned before it can be used again. This simple invention could change the way we interact with self-checkouts, ticket machines, and ATMs to create cleaner and safer digital interactions.
Thank you. So this takes me to the end of my presentation today. I hope you enjoy, and again, I wish you best of luck with your next months at the RCA and the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Clara, and thank you also for showcasing this special project with us. Yeah, we're really happy to be the first ones to see it. Yeah, so right now the idea is that I'll share my screen, and the idea is that all the students will short pitch their projects, and afterwards we'll go into a Q&A session. So let me share my screen and we can start.
Okay, hello everyone. We are first group and our project is called Universe. As we know, our society has changed from high touch to low touch during the pandemic. Therefore, the use of voice interaction has been considered as a huge market than ever before. Underlying the VUI, we have created a voice interaction game, Universe, to collaborate with Model to explore children's interests, therefore helping parents to better understand their children and benefit them all. Okay, next. In the research process, 2 rounds of questionnaires has been spread with over 200 and 900 feedbacks, respectively. The research covers mainly within children's education, concerns about the emotions and the relationship between parents and kids. Next. Universe can help explore children's potential and increase their interest in different aspects of life. For parents, the game allows them to better understand their children's interests, make it easier to participate in education, and it also helps parents to reduce some of the trial and error costs. Next, our game is mainly composed. Thank you. Our game is mainly composed of 4 planets. Children can pick up visual components on the visual planets, discriminate audio music on the oral planet, conduct logic association questions on the language planet, and perform physical interaction on the action planet. And they can collect elemental fragments from these 4 planets separately and create their little partners by using these elements in the lab. We also designed an app for parents, and they can use it to understand their kids' game time, interest, and to know their preference through the digital partner. And finally, next, we ran 9 testing workshops with kids from 4 to 7 years old children and received feedbacks from both partners and kids. Okay, this is our universe. Thank you.
Hi, our project is called Remoto. Remote work is the new norm, whether it's local teams with a hybrid work model or teams working across borders and time zones. Zoom has become the new modus operandi, but something has been lost in our translation to digital collaboration. Our focus on maintaining productivity has led to team culture and relationship dynamics taking a backseat. Next slide. So we set out to understand the experiences of remote workers from diverse backgrounds and synthesized our research into 4 key insights. That relationships and trust are more difficult to build, our understanding of personal identity has changed, communicative conventions have become unclear, and emotions are more difficult to gauge, harder to relay, and easier to hide. These insights led us to our problem statement, which was how might we help remote teams shape and maintain a team culture that leads to high engagement between team members. Next slide, please. During our ideation process, we realized that spaces teams once shared were at the center of their collaborative dynamics. The position of people's desks, the route of their morning coffee run were primary drivers behind the small daily interactions that nurture team culture. Video conferencing, in contrast, seats us directly in the meeting room. So we started developing the idea of a customizable digital space built to revive these lost interactions. Next slide, please. Remoto is a spatial digital workspace for the new age of collaboration. It's designed to bring back a more intuitive way of working and talking. It does this by restoring a shared space and encouraging movement within that space through its mapped out functionality. The aim is to help rebuild healthy team cultures and interactions. Join our Zoom room to find out more.
Hello, today I'm going to present our project Bridge Me. Next slide, please. Work from home has become a new normal for most of us. We may think that it has relieved us from the stressful commute. However, according to our research, the commute can be rather than wasting time, but it is also a way to disconnect ourselves from personal life and to get into a work mindset. For instance, for some, commuting was a good moment to meditate, listen to music, cycle, or just look out of the window before work. But now, in the new normal, when the distance between home and office is only a few steps away, space is not there anymore, and changing mindsets become difficult. Next slide, please. While we were exploring those insights, we were also exploring the voice-led experiences and the technology. And what we realized that many services, such as smart speakers, only display themselves as a receiver that process the comments. So this means that our interaction with the technology can be restricted to our imagination. End up dialogues like a reading message, asking for the weather, or call someone. And here where we found an opportunity to recreate this experience. Next slide, please. ReachMe is a service that aggregates the voice-based content and inspires users with a set of experiences according to the moments of the day that can help them transition from one mindset to the next. Next slide. The service can be accessed by the voice with the support of a screen-based system that guides the learning for users. It provides a set of voice-led experiences that can be classified into three categories. The personal instruction, such as meditation, yoga, or stretching, the informative audio like the news update, and finally, the ambient music to enhance the environment. Next slide. Thank you so much. To have a further chat, please join our Zoom rooms.
Hi, good morning. I'm glad to share the project called shopal. Due to the pandemic, there is a trend that supermarkets are promoting self-service machines to avoid human contact, and this trend is unfriendly to senior citizens who prefer human service. So supermarkets are very important in people's daily life, we came up with this smart assistant to improve people's shopping experience. Next, please. To conclude the service, shopal is a shopping companion that can offer humane service to customers and provide customers feedbacks for supermarkets. Next slide, please. Next, as for the touchpoint in supermarkets, shopal is installed in a bone conduction earphone, which has a camera to identify products. When users are at home, they can launch shopal on their smart speakers. During shopping, next slide, please. During shopping, shopal can answer questions and remind people what's on their shopping list. For instance, the old gentleman with presbyopia has difficulty reading the packaging, so he can ask about the expiry date. There is also another feature that shopal will encourage users to build their family network and share recipes. Next, please. The family recipe feature is aimed to reduce social isolation, which has become a major mental health problem since COVID-19 burst. Our research found that people's conversations usually take place around a specific material as a topic. Therefore, shopal will use food as a topic to encourage more social connection and involve CUI more in people's life. That's it. Thank you.
Hi, hello. Yeah, so our project is called X2. COVID-19, as we all know, COVID-19 is a major theme in 2020. As a key technology trend, voice interaction provides new options for healthy living in the post-epidemic era. And our project aims to help those who were physically and mentally unwell during the epidemic to get their lives back. Next slide, please. According to abundant field research, we've got three main interesting insights. And after these, we brainstormed and come to our conclusions. The spatial voice interaction games. Next, please. Going from indoor to outdoor, immersing yourself in the nature environment with the brand new game service based in urban parks. Here's the story showing how it works. So people can play this game in parks using their AirPods Pro and Apple Watch. The watch allows you to search for nearby players and establish a partnership with them to protect animals. And also people use the spatial sound to determine the distance of the animals and press the headset button to protect the animals when it is within the appropriate range. Next, please. So we try to weaken the visual part of the function and give the main experience to the space sound, but this doesn't mean the interactive interface is meaningless. In fact, it contains the entire game from the beginning to the end. Next, please. So the system map combines 3 flows: players, Exo company, and other enterprise. And once these 3 parties are coordinated, our game will run smoothly. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. So now I would like to ask our speakers to comment on the projects. I don't know if any of you have any comment you want to make.
I have a couple of questions and comment in general. So amazing pitch skills. I loved it. Like you guys are like bang, bang, bang. Super fast and super well explained. I have a question for Remoto. I'm interested in how you design the digital space. So I wonder what consideration you had, if you were like sort of replicating a traditional office or maybe instead creating an improved version of an office. Yeah, I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that. And then I had a question for, I think it's called Shopal. And it was around these recipes and shopping list. I was wondering if you had thought of having like some circles, almost like maybe having your a group of friends recipe sharing or family recipe sharing. Maybe you mentioned that, but I just wanted to ask you a bit more about that. But yeah, thank you everyone, and thank you for sharing.
Shall I go first, or should we carry on with the questions? Okay. So in your question about what we're doing with the space, I think what we found was that it was important for people to have a reason to move around the space. So that we found a few similar examples of what we've done already out there, but there's very few reasons for people to move around whatever digital space that they were in. So it didn't fulfill its purpose very well. So that was kind of our main, what we're trying to do to begin with, and then in terms of what was in the space, it was more to do with the functionality and placing it in sort of scenarios and representations of what it was for. So sort of like a plinth to make speeches from, or a couch to sit down and have coffee, sort of thing, but making sure that you had to move around to do these things rather than just stay where you were.
Thank you.
This is John. I would love to meet the shopal team.
Yes.
Who are they?
Yes. Is anyone from Shopal?
Yeah, I'm from Shopal.
Have you taken your pitch to any retailer yet? And if not, why not?
Because we don't have resources to like retailers. We contact Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and through LinkedIn, but we just get feedbacks from several staff from really base departments, like they are bakers, they are just staff running the supermarkets. So we are not able to talk to the manager.
Do I pronounce your name Yizu? Is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah.
This is an American phrase, but it's a hell of an idea. We are currently operating a commerce community that is reviewing ideas for voice in retail. It's one of the most innovative ideas that I have seen in the last 3 years. And it speaks directly to some very specific needs in a very, very good way. Congratulations. I think it's an idea that's worth visitations with venture capitalists. I think it's something that's very strong. Congratulations. It's just superb.
Yeah, I don't know if Alba or John want to comment on some other project or.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love to chat later on with the guys from Universe just to see how I could also, like, I don't know, like help out like with the interactions with the kids and so on. I think I have some knowledge that could help them like bring it forward if they wanted, like just to, you know, to put some extra insights on it. So yeah.
Great. No, that's amazing. I don't know if we have any students that want to make questions to our speakers. I know there were some questions before for John. I think he replied them on the chat, but maybe we can go through them again. So the first one was from Gitika. I don't know if Gitika wants to ask the question. Oh, I think she can't, but it says, John, thanks for the talk. Just wanted to know what you think about language playing a barrier in class acceptance and growth in voice-led interfaces, while screen-based can easily adapt across different geographies.
Two things to share. One is Gita makes a great point that a screen-based interface generally, because of the ease of reading in our familiarity with screens and because of the lack of really AI training required for a screen-based app, it's going to have a much faster, broader adoption from the start than a voice-only application, and that's the key. Voice will increasingly be multimodal as we go forward. In fact, the best voice applications are multimodal. It is voice enabled. Again, keep in mind, we can speak 3 times faster than we can type, but we can read twice as fast as we can listen. And so we want to input with voice, but we want to, we're all very impatient. We want to read then with screen. And so the next big step in voice, and I think Gitika's point is very well taken, are voice-enabled apps, smartphone. That's where, if you're working in retail, you're working in financial services, healthcare, be thinking of voice as the input interface first, and then it can be an explanatory secondary interface for the output. It's a great point, great question that Gitika raised.
Thank you, John. I think the other one, I don't know, maybe Richard has a question. Do you? I think he's, no?
Just letting it all wash over me because it's fascinating, very inspiring. And I think I just made an observation from what John was saying that with shopal, I used to work in retail. It's a fascinating proposition, but there are so many projects that I feel are not taken up in the way that they probably should be by business. There's lots of missed opportunities because there are some really good skills and talent that you see come across. I've been on a couple of these, more than a few of these presentations now, work in progress shows, and there's some brilliant projects.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. So we also had a question here. I don't know, Clara, what you can say about it, but Jaja is asking for a little more maybe information or where she can find more about like your process, your ideation process, like maybe metrics, challenges. Just seems very interesting, I think, the result of your project. So I think there's curiosity around the process.
Thank you. That's a very good question. Well, our process is quite straightforward, I have to say, and we always do the same process, whether we are designing, a theme park or a medical device or, traveling app. So it's really the process is always the same. We always start with some what we call landscaping research. So we literally just immerse ourselves in a topic. And that landscaping research helps us to create a plan, a research plan. So the research that we then undertake is usually has 3 strands. So there are experts and users, places, and then other brands. Usually with other brands, we look at competitors, and then we look also at what we call parallel brands, which are maybe brands working in markets that are not exactly the same, but they can bring us some inspiration. Then we perform all that research. So we interview users, so we design the how to involve the user, we design how to involve the experts, we do that, we look at the parallel markets and the competitors market, and we visit the places that could be relevant. And then that's the difficult part to sort of, how can I say, to explain is what happens after, because we come all together and we create some insights, so some learning, as I think you guys have shown us you do as well. And then from those, we create the DNA of the project, the sort of recommendation. And based on that, then we create the concepts. Matrix, unfortunately, I'm not really sure if we have matrix. We have values that we always test our concept against. So we have 5 values, which are relevance, clarity, empathy, optimism, and magic. And we always sort of go through them when we have ideas. But I wish I had a mathematical formula, but this is as close as I can get. And then I think we spend a good part, almost like a third of the project, on communicating the idea. So once we have the idea, then we spend quite a lot of time in creating it, visualizing it, and also making sure that we communicate where the idea come from the research, tracing it back almost. So yes, I hope this is helpful. I know it's a bit, there are lots of stages, but you guys can do it.
Yeah, Gia says many thanks, Clara. It's really great. I think I do have a question for you. So when I was somehow organizing this seminar, I was thinking just like a lot of sci-fi, right? That was around, of course, old school sci-fi around screens, right? Like the future full of screens. And what do you think is like the new vision for the future? I see in all your talks that you were reflecting around the experience, the high, the senses, not necessarily screens, like how we move on from the screen somehow, how we naturalize these technologies in our lives. So how do you see this future? I'm really curious about your vision.
Well, we always try to be optimistic. So I think it's a bit too easy to be pessimistic. So we'll try to work hard and be optimistic on the future. I personally think that, we believe in calm technology. So there is a paper that I think you all should read. It's from Xerox PARC. Mark Weiser wrote it 40 years ago, I think, and it's called Calm Technology. And it talks about how technology, to work well, almost has to take a back seat and has to work in the background. So I think ideally, technology should really integrate in a way that doesn't demand your attention, but actually helps you to have a more fulfilling life. And I don't think the screen is, like communicating through a screen is probably the best way to achieve that. It might be a mix of sensory input and outputs. So I hope that the future will have technology less demanding and less requiring our attention, but more supporting us in living a fulfilling life.
Thanks, Clara. Alba, would you like to answer as well?
I mean, like, it seems like we're pretty aligned in that sense, right? it seems like we really like to feel more things than just feeling our vision and our years with like what we can get from the screens. Less than money, like you mentioned it, right? Like it's a very easy to access, like when you can just like speak to something, hear something, or even just touch something, in the case not just of kids but also grown-ups, right? Like we have all these senses that we need to use, and we are not going to stop using them. In fact, it's going to continue. And we are also seeing how people are getting more attached to what is happening in nature, what is happening around us. Like we are getting this sense of like things are bigger than just our like this realm that is in front of our eyes. But I mean, like I also like this whole idea of the metaverse that I just like dropped there as nothing. It's also pretty interesting because although yeah, screens, you know, like have their cons, they also are a very good tool to help us develop these new interactions, right? And in the metaverse, I think what I find really interesting, and it's gonna keep growing in the next years, is that new realities beside the one that we are living are gonna be created, and we are seeing how people are more and more comfortable with things like avatars and things that are, you know, that they can choose their identity, they can choose who they want to be, and live these like these different lives. And you know, like that's not bad. That's actually, it's pretty cool to see like what the imagination of like of the collective can reshape us, right? So yeah, I'm also excited about that. So senses and like virtual reality, what a mix. Like, yeah.
Great, thank you, Alva. John, would you like to say some words?
You know, I've always thought that the most magnificent computer is between your ears, and that we indeed are social beings, and the role of technology is to enhance, is to support, perhaps accelerate, but never to get in the way. Many of you, no doubt, have seen some things in the States, perhaps on January 6th. I'm very concerned about the virtual life turning into not just virtual life, but what some people in the States would call truth decay. Not tooth decay, but truth decay. And to Alva's great point, it's exciting, it's imaginative, it's fun, but it can also go down a very dark place. Can technology enable our understanding of this amazing world around us, and where screens, voice technology amplifies, accelerates, enhances, supports, but does not replace? I think it's, number one, it's critical for us as social beings, as humans. It's also critical for our societies.
Yeah, true. We have now Vincent here as well, who was our partner in the project. So Vincent, if you wanna, do you wanna add something? Because I think you were somehow, you know all the process of this project. So we really want you to make a small comment, and yeah, tell us what you think about the seminar and also the projects.
Well, I think, I mean, it's just wonderfully satisfying to see the projects come to kind of fruition over time. And I think that the teams have done a fantastic job, and it's really wonderful to see. And also thank you to the speakers on today's session, and for making it such a stimulating seminar. I think that the problem that the teams have all been trying to wrestle with of how to humanize new technologies for everyday interactions of the future is really not an easy one. It's ill-defined, it's as a problem, it's ill-structured, it's messy. It's a messy real-world issue that is of both practical and scholarly importance. And I think it's very well suited to the qualitative and performative methods of design research and service design. And I think that this conscious, very big effort that's been made by the teams today shows that. And I think it demonstrates the contribution that design as a discipline can make in the innovating of new AI-based services. So I'm very proud of the teams and wish to say to all of them that they've done a great job.
Thank you, Vincent. I'm going to say hello again to everybody, and thank you as we begin to wind up. I do want to say a huge thanks to Vincent for his support through his modal project. It's been a fantastic opportunity for us to work in this area that I think is so vital, just as Vincent was commenting then. I've told the story a few times how when I first got this job, I went to a technology conference to talk about humanizing technology and how data was the new oil and how we needed to understand the impact of invisible enablers like AI and blockchain and machine learning. And when it was announced that I was coming on stage from the Royal College of Art, everybody left. Great. You know, nobody perceived that somebody from the Royal College of Art would have anything to say about technology. And I think there are perceptions we need to overcome. And all the speakers here and the students are showing the world, and we need to do more research in this area. We need to show the world this is a really vital part. I've just come off an academic meeting where has been made very clear that the UK government right now sees no role for arts in society. Just does not see the work we do here in the impact we have on technology. When our Chancellor is Jonathan Ive of Apple, the government do not understand the impact of design on technology and their relevance. This is a tragedy, a slow motion car crash we in the UK are walking into. We must claim our role and our responsibility, that design, that humanization of something as important as technology is not something to be left to idiots in government. Rant over. But this is an important point. We're out there telling these stories, showing these projects, having these absolutely inspirational talks and these fantastic questions as well. And I'm so grateful for you that this one area I think is so important for us in service design, in the Royal College of Art, in the whole creative industries. Look at the success we've had in the UK in digital transformation, and look at how many problems there are still to overcome. Just look at the poor experience of track and trace. This apparently world-beating service hasn't been world-beating. So all I want to do actually is to remind you all yet again that the point of these events is to connect you to students and to ask you to click on the link in the chat, to have been inspired what you've heard from our speakers and our students, and to go and talk to them. Because that's one thing technology has slightly struggled with. How do we have a conversation? How do we dig in to the amazing work the students have done? So this is your chance, please, to take a few minutes. If not now, click on this link and put it in your browser history, bookmark it. To any time of night and day, go and talk to these students. They deserve it. They've shown incredible resilience and guile and courage, and they've kept going and really without a murmur of complaint. And I'm incredibly proud of the work that the students do in service design. I think we are capable of changing the world. Go and have a talk to them, cheer them on, encourage them so that when they graduate in July, and we do all this again, hopefully not quite so virtually, then we will be able to set them on the path of changing this world and helping the government understand exactly why what we talk about is so important. A couple of people have pointed out they haven't got links on the Meet the Designers page, so you've got lots of links in the chat to go and talk to students. I know it's a busy day. I know we're all busy, so you can always click on the Calendly app and arrange to see them, perhaps with a glass of wine later on tonight. Anyway, it just remains for me to say, finally, thank you so much to our fantastic speakers we have a tradition on this course. My students will know what I'm about to do. I'm going to ask all my students to come off mute and to give you a round of applause, which you don't hear very much these days. So I want to thank you very much. That's as close as we get to a physical experience. And say thank you to everybody for yet another amazing event. Thank you to the audience for coming and joining us. We've had fantastically good participation in all these events. And again today, and everyone on YouTube watching the live stream, either live or in the future, thank you for watching these amazing talks. And good luck to everybody, and go and chat to a student. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll see you all soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks.